Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. Last evening, Mahua Moitra, the TMC MP, tweeted and said that she's proud to go down in the history of Parliament as the first person to be expelled by the Ethics Committee, and that too unethically. Now, the opposition members who were part of this ethics panel also cited procedural lapses. And there have been questions whether protocols were followed by the committee or not. And there have also been instances where Mahua Moitra herself has said that the committee was biased and incorrect. Now, the question we are asking today is that are the opposition MPs expelled on flimsy grounds? Was this ethics panel fair to Mahua Moitra? Were the protocols followed or not? Joining me now is a very special panel. Former Secretary General to the Lok Sabha, PDT Achari, joins us. So thank you so much for joining. We have Sharad Gupta, senior journalist, joining us. Thank you so much. Vivek Deshpande joining us, senior journalist. Thank you so much. And we also have TK Rajlakshmi, who's the deputy editor of the Frontline. Thank you, Rajlakshmi. Hi. Let me begin with PDT Achari. Mr. Achari, given the fact that how hurriedly the report was, adopted, and even Danish Ali yesterday said that when the chairman, Mr. Sonkar, came in, and he just took about 2.5 minutes to adopt the report, and everything was over in 2.5 minutes. But if you look at the beginning or the first day when all this started, do you think that the protocols have been followed by the Ethics Committee?
Before I say anything about the protocol and so on, I would like to say something about the jurisdiction of this committee, the mandate of this committee. Because that is the most fundamental thing. If the committee doesn't have a jurisdiction, then it cannot function, constitutionally speaking. This is a committee which is meant to investigate minor, peccadillos, misdemeanors, and all that. Therefore, this committee would recommend lighter punishment. For example, suspension is the highest grade punishment. Otherwise, admonition or reprimand, and these are some of the punishments, which are given to people who are caught in an unethical act. If you look at the past, then there were a couple of occasions when this committee had investigated certain misdemeanors of members and punished them. Now, one example is of an MP who took his girlfriend on an official tour organized by the committee, and posing her as his wife. Now, his wife perhaps made a complaint, and then it went to the Ethics Committee. Ethics Committee investigated the whole thing and found him guilty. Of course, it was a fact. There was nothing to prove. And he admitted it, and he was suspended from 30 sittings of the House. And also, he was barred from taking any of his companions or his spouse on any further tours during the period of that Lok Sabha. So this was the punishment which was given to him by this committee. Similarly, such small things, minor things were brought before the committee, and the committee looks into that. Actually, the whole point is that there is a committee called Privileges Committee, which looks into much larger things, breach of privilege and contempt of the House and all that. Those are the real issues, of serious nature, which are looked into by this committee. But there is a wide range of misdemeanors which cannot come before the Privileges Committee. Yet the Parliament feels that something has to be done to take care of such things. And that is why the Ethics Committee was set up. Otherwise, if both have the concurrent jurisdiction, there is no point in having two committees with the same jurisdiction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is why this committee was set up actually.
No, but
And that
sir,
is how,
Acharya,
yeah,
this has been a basic flaw, according to you, like what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Obviously, that this is a basic flaw. So, if the ethics committee has expelled an MP, now can this be challenged by the MP herself in any court of law?
No, I will come to that. Actually, so this has been the past of this committee. That means, in my view, uh, this committee does not and cannot, uh, recommend expulsion from the house, because this committee deals with minor demeanors and not major offences, um, which are only dealt with by the privileges committee and all that. Yeah. So now the point is whether the protocol and other things have been adhered to, followed, etc. But that I don't have any direct information about that. The committee, functions according to the rules. So the rules lay down a certain basic procedure. The committee has to follow that. For example, the notices are issued to the witnesses. Now, in this case, after all, we must know that these two committees are dealing with the penal powers of the House. I mean, these committees deal with subjects which are dealt with by Parliament exercising its penal powers. So, therefore, the procedures which are followed by these two committees should be such that the procedures should be very correct and detailed enough to bring out the truth. So you want to bring out the truth, and to bring out the truth, you must have a proper procedure, proper questioning, cross-questioning, cross-examination, and all that. These are the things which need to be done, which need to be incorporated in the rules of procedure. But if you
And
look at
Mahua
the
was
rules,
not allowed the cross examination. That's what I read, that apparently she was not allowed the cross examination. That was one thing.
yeah,
Then, of course, when the report was adopted yesterday, it was adopted by a margin of 6-4, which means the quorum was not complete. Not all members of the panel, it's a 15-member panel, not all members were there. So, are these, can you really call them as big lapses?
actually, there is nothing in writing. Actually, there is no rule which says that cross-examination should be allowed. There is
Okay,
no such thing.
right.
But then, as I said, since these are dealing with penal issues, or these are issues where the penal power of the Parliament will be exercised. Therefore, the procedure has to be foolproof. And there, what exactly you want? You want to bring out the truth. If there is an allegation against a particular member, then the committee wants to know the truth. So, in order to reach the truth, you must have a certain procedure. And that procedure includes cross-examination of the witnesses also. The person who is making a complaint
Right.
to be cross-examined by the other person against whom the complaint has been made. That is the way these committees should function.
Right.
Although there is nothing in writing, there is no rule as such which deals in such detail about this. But I would say that such rules should be framed so that these committees, function properly and in a just and fair manner.
Right. One more question to you, Mr. Achari, before I go to Sharad Gupta ji. Mr. Achari, there have been people saying, and of course, the opposition members also pointed out that Darshan Hiranandani, against whom there were allegations that, he was giving cash and kind to Mahua Moitra, he should have also deposed before the committee. Danish Ali, the BSP MP, has pointed this out. Now, but what he did was he just gave one affidavit. Now, was that enough? Shouldn't the ethics committee panel should have called him and he should have been asked to depose before the committee? Was this not the rule which should have been followed?
But actually, it is for the committee chairman to decide who should be called for oral deposition. Because there are many cases where people do submit written statements to the committee. And the committee sometimes, do not find time to call all those people. And perhaps, or the committee may think that it is not necessary because their points are very clear in their written statement and there is nothing further to elicit from them. Therefore, they decide not to call them for oral deposition. In this case, I do not know what happened because I am not privy to what happened in the meeting. Therefore, I can't say anything about that. I can't make any comment on that.
All right. Now let me come to Mr. Gupta. Mr. Gupta, so what would you say? We've just heard what Mr. Achari said. There are basic flaws. There are procedural lapses, as it seems. Now, are we in a position to say that Ethics Committee did things very ethically? Were they really fair to Mahua Moitra? She was not even given a fair hearing.
In most of the committees, is always the ruling party which has the majority, which has members in majority members. So in this committee also same thing happened, and since the ruling party, ruling coalition, they had the majority members and they wanted to dictate terms. And this is what the opposition members say, whether it is JDU's Girdhari Yadav or Danish Ali. Danish Ali has very clearly said that the meeting was over in 2.5 minutes. So, and as the question you put up to Mr. Achari, that's very pertinent. That if you accuse somebody or somebody is accusing you, so you will like to hear the person who is accusing the basis of accusations, what are the evidences he has got, and the committee relied just on an affidavit. And top it, the person had just 2 days before filing the affidavit has said, no, I don't have any allegation against Mahua Moitra. And within 2 days, he did 180-degree about turn. As in an affidavit, he has cited so many allegations, cash, kind. So committee should have verified from the person how he has given the cash or the gifts in lieu of what. They should have verified that, and then they should have cross-examined Mahua Moitra that this is what the accuser is accusing you of, and what do you have to say in defense? So the basic procedure of examination or cross-examination has not been followed. So as Girdhari Yadav or Danish Ali are saying, they are saying it was just a kangaroo court proceeding. They had already decided what they had to do, and they were just going through the motions. And there are credible evidences which substantiate their allegations. And because they were in great hurry to finish the whole procedure as soon as possible. And Mahua has been saying very categorically that she is being fixed by the government because of her allegations on Modi-Adani relations and the coal, but what we call coal scam. That's one. Secondly, the parliament, rather the chairman of the committee had not submitted the committee report to the speaker, and even before that, the contents were on the media, all over the media. So this was something like Aryan Khan's examination by the NCB. As soon as he was arrested or taken into custody, the allegations and the leaks and Sushant Singh Rajput case, all kind of leaks were being made.
Right.
In this case also, so when such leaks, deliberate leaks are made, so that point out that the investigation is flawed and the investigators want to have a media trial before the actual trial.
Absolutely.
So that public opinion is created against some person.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that is what they are doing. What they cannot do, they are doing through media track.
Absolutely. No, no, you're absolutely right. In fact, Rajalakshmi, I'll come to you
Yeah.
now. It's an
Mhm.
important point which Sharaji mentioned. And I still remember 4 o'clock was a time when yesterday the committee, the ethics panel had adopted the report. And just a little before 4 p.m., I was following it on Twitter and across the TV channels. And Mr. Sonkar, who's the chairman of the ethics committee, the manner in which he was flashing that ethics, the report of Mahua Moitra, and all the cameramen, they were clicking pictures of that report, just in the manner, in which the finance minister flashes the suitcase on the budget day. It was in that manner which Mr. Sonkar was flashing that ethics report. Now, what would you really say to a demeanor like this, as far as the chairman of this ethics panel is concerned? And of course, the procedural lapses were there. It looks like the panel was prejudiced. It was incorrect in many ways. But what would you say to this conduct? I mean, leaks, then flashing the report before the media. So was this all premeditated, pre-planned, just to phase out Mahua from Parliament? What does it look like? Yes.
Well, it seems to be the case, and it seems to have also, come to a conclusion that she has to be expelled. It has sort of, sort of recommended all this in a very short span of time, and as others have also, pointed out that that the that that the person from whom the affidavit had been taken, I mean, he should have been asked to depose in front of the committee, and physically should have been asked to depose. I mean, that's how you. I mean, I guess the cross examination process happens, and that she also sort of gets a right to be heard, because I think the principle, I think, is one of the principles of natural justice. So even if in the absence of rules, as Mr. Acharya was also saying, that rules have to be there, and that it is a lacune, definitely, but at least in a general sense, to follow the principles of natural justice. And she's an MP after all, she's an elected representative, and she has every grounds to feel slighted if certain inappropriate questions were asked of her, which the other opposition members have corroborated. So it's not that it is just her word against the committee members. So so I think she should also have been sort of given a fair chance to explain this whole position, and also the evidence gathering on the other end should have happened. Now this optics, yes, this optics serves to create, or rather set in place, a kind of a narrative to hold her guilty, to say that yes, she has done that, I mean, whatever she's been accused of. But then how does all this lead to sort of implicating or national security, because that is one of the grounds that has been said, right? For that she has imperiled it, right? So how does this exactly, lead to a breach of national security? It can be at best, a misdemeanor, right? And I think the committee could have maybe pulled her up, could have issued her a strict warning. I mean, I think there could have been like a multitude of options being explored before recommending expulsion, which itself Mr. Acharya is saying that it might not be the mandate of the committee to recommend expulsion also, because there's the issue of the privileges committee too. Now to what extent the ethics committee could have been liberal in this case, because it's a first time demeanor, and she's not it's not something that she's sort of culpable of doing serially, while there have been so many instances of MPs, talking all kinds of things on the floor of Parliament, outside Parliament, threatening sort of members of the minority community. I don't see any great also moral outrage, emanating from any committee for that matter, either be it privileges committee or be it the ethics committee. Now, obviously, now an example had to be sort of made, because a particular industrial is involved, and therefore to go the extra length to make an example of a member of the opposition, and that too, I think, a woman member of the opposition. I don't know how it I mean how good that that serves, on the optics level. That, of course, is for the central government to understand. But here, clearly, she was. It seemed to me like Kangaroo court, which she has also said, and maybe Danish has also sort of referred to.
Yeah.
So I think the intent of the committee was, if it was really to sort of correct, to certain corrective steps, it would also have recommended that certain rules for all these things should be framed, because she has been saying, as have others also said, that the rules are not there, as to about about the login rules. It's all based on a presumption of guilt, right? That it's presumed it can lead, to a national security breach. It's presumed that she has committed that offense, deliberately. She may have done it not willfully at all. So I think the benefit of doubt, I think, was not given at all. And as I said, she's an MP, she's a public representative, and I actually acknowledged, she was truthful enough to sort of acknowledge that it happened.
She did say that she's shared the login
No,
ID.
she said, I mean, she was honest about it, upfront about it. And then you go after her, because she's admitted it. Then you want to establish, money trail for the gifts, which is still not there. The amount also matters. I mean, because I think gratification and gratification, there are various kinds of gratification, right? I mean, some can lead, some can be in crores, and some can be in a few thousands, rupees. So then,
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, if you look at Mahua's tweet yesterday, so she did say, after she said that I'll go down in the history of Parliament as the first person to be unethically expelled by the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee, whose mandate doesn't include expulsion. And this is what Mr. Acharya also was talking about. And after that, she says that first expel and then ask the government to ask CBI to find evidence. Kangaroo court, monkey business from start to finish. Now, let me come to Vivek now. Vivek, very clearly, I mean, is there a trend now which you see as far as the opposition MPs are concerned? They are being expelled on flimsy grounds. Look at what happened to Rahul Gandhi. And after Rahul Gandhi, now it's Mahua. Whereas you have a person like Ramesh Biduri, who still exists in Lok Sabha. He lashes out communal slurs against Danish Ali, and there is no action taken against him. So are these flimsy grounds on which BJP is trying to target those opposition members who have been speaking against the Modi government, who have been speaking against Gautam Adani? So do you see this as some kind of a dangerous trend which is now setting in inside Parliament?
Yeah, Nilo, definitely. I mean, there's certainly this trend, and we have seen so many examples of this kind happening before. Now, the most important point in this whole story is, if this was a breach of national security, then can it be left to a small committee of 10 members called the Ethics Committee of Parliament to decide this issue? Now, if Mahua Moitra has breached national security, there should be an FIR against her. There should be an FIR against her, and she should be tried in the real court instead of this court which has behaved much in a fashion of a kangaroo court, as somebody has said, rightly said. So let there be a fair trial in the court of justice, proper court of justice, because this is no less a crime than, as you say, it's a national security breach. So why don't you try her in the court of law and punish her for that? So clearly, there was no breach of national security. It was just a facade which was being projected against her. And the committee and the government wanted to make a short work of everything, just wind up proceedings within 15-20 days and just throw her out of the Parliament. So this is completely, how can you call this an ethics committee when the whole business is being conducted in a completely unethical manner? And you see the composition of the committee, 4 members belonging to parties as diverse as BSP and JDU, and even in the Communist Party, CPM, which is a sworn enemy of Trinamool Congress. They have walked out. They have protested. So all 4 of them have dissented. So it clearly shows the bias on the part of the government against Moitra. And the trend clearly is those who will speak out against the government, who will raise their voice against the government, will be silenced. in whichever way possible, and that way may not be ethical. And this is exactly what has happened in Moitra's case. Now, if this is a case of national security, and if you know that these login names and passwords can be given to anyone, why didn't you frame the rules for not sharing these two with anyone? This is a very common practice by all the parliamentarians. They share these login names and passwords with any number of people, and the questions can be passed through these conduits. Now, that if that is the regular practice, then in what way is Mahua Moitra guilty of doing something wrong? And you remember Mr. Hiranandani had initially reacted in a very different way. He had said that nothing wrong has been committed, and then he suddenly files an affidavit, which again fits in the very trend that this government is known for, pressurizing people and getting them to say and do things which the government wants. So Mr. Hiranandani was clearly under pressure. Otherwise, why would he give two different kinds of reactions? And of course, see, she should have been given an opportunity to cross-examine him. If he has given her some favors, you have to trace those favors. You have to establish that those favors have actually reached her. If there was any money trail, you should have traced that. But nothing of that was done. And the kind of questions that she was asked by Mr. Sonkar, I mean, the level of ethics in the chairmanship of the ethics committee itself is so low. And how can that be accepted in any civilized society? You are asking her question about where she is staying in the hotel with whom, and does the wife of that person knows? I mean, if these are the kind of questions that the ethics committee chairman is asking, then the quality of the chairman has to be questioned. What kind of a person he is? We have seen Mr. Nitish Kumar saying silly things as far as the women's reproductive control is concerned. Our politicians have been talking all nonsensical things.
The BJP leaders go hammer and tongs that he should apologize, and he did.
Yeah. And this person is asking questions which are clearly out of course questions. I mean, he should not be doing that, but he has done that, and nobody has questioned him. Now, this is the way the BJP functions. Anyone who will raise his or her voice against the BJP will be silenced, and that way of silencing in more ways than one will be unethical and illegal. This is exactly what has happened with Mahua Moitra, and we should not forget the fraught relationship that she had with this guy Dehad Rai, who is the main complainant. Now, if that Dehad Rai fellow had to be cross-questioned as well, but nothing of the sort. No opportunity was given to her, and she was in a very, very lopsided manner, in a very slipshod manner, she was punished. And now it's a kind of fait accompli. She will be thrown out of the parliament, and for rest of the period, I mean, maybe just 5-6 months, but that is long a period for a parliamentarian who is out there to actually give justice to people, and she herself will be deprived of that.
Right, absolutely. Now, I'll come for the concluding remarks first to Mr. Achari, that from here on now, of course, the conduct of the chairman himself has been so questionable. The manner in which he's been asking questions, the quality of questions which he has asked. Of course, you spoke about the jurisdiction of the committee. Now, who is going to probe these lapses? Now, can this be challenged in the court of law? What are the options before Mahua? If these lapses do exist, the ethics committee has not been fair, as what the discussion has at the end of the day proven. Can Mahua now challenge all this in the court of law?
Well, that option is available to her. She can go to court and challenge the whole proceedings and the decision of the House. Only after the House has taken a decision, she can go to court if she feels aggrieved by the decision of the House. But then, Article 122 says that you cannot challenge the proceedings of the House of its committees on the ground of procedural irregularities. But in Raja Rampal's case, the Supreme Court had made it very clear that only on the bar is only on procedural irregularities. But if there is an unconstitutionality about the way in which you conducted the meeting and the way in which you took a decision, and if there is gross illegality, And if there is a blatant denial of natural justice, then you can always go to the court and court will look into it. That is the thing. Then she has to certainly choose this as a ground, or she can choose this ground, or these are the only grounds which are available. But these are very substantial grounds on which she can challenge the whole decision of the House and what went on in the committees and all that.
So if the court comes to Mahua's rescue, then apparently the expulsion also can be withheld by the court?
Yes, if it strikes down the decision of the House.
Right.
Because if the court finds that there was an unconstitutionality in this, or gross illegality, or there was a denial of natural justice, on that ground, the court can strike it down. In that case, she will be restored. Her membership will be restored.
Absolutely. Okay, so Sharad, do you think that the court will get into an illegality like this, given the fact that, these are two separate wings, judiciary and parliament? Now, will judiciary intervene? Will it not be like overstepping into some other territory? Of course, the unconstitutionality looks very grave if Mahua challenges it in the court of law. But would the court intervene in this matter?
I'm not too sure about it, but since Mr. Chari is very confident, so as he's quoted Article 122, the court cannot hear a complaint against the proceedings of the House. And since the Ethics Committee report will be tabled in the House and a motion will be moved before the House, whether Mahua Moitra should be expelled from the House or should she continue to be allowed to be continue as complete her term as Member of Parliament. And since the BJP and its allies have complete majority, so in all probability she'll be expelled. So far I am not aware of any incident where how the Parliament's decision has been challenged. The Speaker's decisions have been challenged in the court of law, and they have been overturned, especially in where the majority was involved, wherever a formation of a government was involved, wherever the procedural lapses had taken place, and the speakers had taken decisions in very arbitrary manner. But in such matters, I'm not sure whether courts will entertain, but they might entertain if such grave unconstitutionality has taken place. They might entertain, and it is always the first time, so always they can hear it.
Absolutely. So Vivek, what do you think are the options before Mahua available? Of course, one is a court. The other could be probably she could have a backroom talk with some other political party, say like Congress. There were rumors that, she was in some back channel talks with Congress and she could end up joining some party. Now, will that give her some kind of a reprieve? Do you think that could still bring her some comfort?
I don't know, Nilu, because whatever I had read was that, there was no legal option available to her to go to court. But since Mr. Acharya is saying that, I think that option should be open to her, because I don't know, I'm not an expert. But if that option is open to her, she should move the court. Whether she does that or not, one doesn't know. As far as joining the Congress is concerned, everybody knows that Trinamool Congress did not stand by her with the kind of force that was necessary. Now I think the second in command of the party has tweeted in her favor.
Yes.
But is that enough for her to stay with Trinamool, or she joins Congress? I don't know. If she joins the Congress, it will be gain for the Congress and loss for Trinamool. But how will that solve the problem? If she gets expelled and if there's not going to be any legal remedy available to her after that in the court of law, then for rest of the period of this parliament, she will stay out. And don't know, the BJP might do something more sinister against her in the remaining 5-6 months, because she loses the immunity as a parliamentarian. So what is the next plan on BJP's mind? Nobody knows. Whether they will leave it at that or they will continue to continue this tirade against her, nobody knows. So let's wait and watch what she does. But one thing is very, we have seen that, all of us have seen that she's a very brave lady, and she has faced the might of the BJP with a kind of courage that is very, very scarce in today's times, Neelu.
Absolutely. And I want to also talk about the fact, Rajlakshmi, that it was BJP who tom-toms that they've passed the women's reservation bill. Now look at what they've done to a woman MP. Now what's the kind of impact it's going to have on the women MPs, especially the opposition MPs? I'm not talking about the BJP leaders, because they would hardly speak in support of the women MPs like Mahua Moitra for reasons known. But what is the kind of impact it's really going to have on the women leaders? I think you're muted, Raji.
Yeah, so I was saying that it's definitely not, encouraging for women, in general, and also, of course, women in specific who are, already in politics because when they see all this, they feel, that the same things that the apprehensions that a character assassination will be done if they're bold, if they're outspoken, so all these apprehensions, are sort of justified. I mean, it seemed to be coming true, in this case, because the way she's been, got after by the system, essentially, and just because, I mean, everybody knows that she's quite vocal, she's been quite outspoken on, on a range of issues, and not just pertaining to this particular, industrialist. She's been vocal on a range of issues, and she's been a strong critic and let's say very effective spokesperson of her party. I mean, which I don't know as to why is not standing by her. By now, they should have taken to the streets. I mean, because of this, particular targeting of their MP. Now, yes, it is not a very encouraging thing, definitely, and it also speaks, in fact, volumes, of the duplicitous nature of the present government when it talks about Nari Shakti and the whole manner in which it pushed the women's reservation bill through, when it could have done it in 2014, in 2019, when it had the majority, right? It could have done it, but then anyway, but I think that apart, I was just thinking, in fact, one thing pertaining to the previous thread, the discussion that we were having, that everybody is equal, before the law, right? And this is a constitutional principle, right? And but then if I mean the law itself is not clear, for instance, if at all this issue of sharing, of a login ID is a breach at all or not, that itself is a question that I'm sure that the courts will sort of ponder whether at all, has it been stated, anywhere, in any document that an MP cannot share this login ID, right? So till as such time, it doesn't remain an offense. I mean, so on what basis has this entire thing been construed, this entire committee been formed to charge her of an offense that is not stated anywhere as an offense, So I think she has pretty good grounds and to go to court, right? I mean, because if the law is stated, then it's fine. She's in breach of that law, but that rule and procedure is not there. So then how can we build a case on that? And this whole thing has been structured, obviously, to fix her, and it's very clear. So I think she's on pretty good ground as far as this thing is concerned.
Right. Yeah. So I think she could end up challenging this ethics panel report, but that only after when the House adopts a report on the first day of the winter session. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. But yes, it's unfortunate because, as Mr. Achari pointed out, that the Ethics Committee did not have the jurisdiction, but it went ahead with the expulsion, with announcing the expulsion of the MP, whereas it did not have the mandate. So, of course, there are pretty solid grounds on which Mahua can challenge the court. But look at the manner in which, on flimsy grounds, opposition MPs are being targeted by the present parliament. Thank you so much, Mr. Achari, Mr. Sharad Gupta, Vivek Deshpande, and T.K. Rajlakshmi. Thank you so much for joining.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.